Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm AirsoftAl, and it has been a while since I've done a lore video, hasn't it? With my new rifle coming in, I thought, well, why not do some lore around it, and why it's my new primary, and I kind of had a little fun with it. I actually went out on Facebook and asked you guys, why would someone want to replace the M16A3, the standard rifle for both factions, which I will get into that in a second to give you a quick recap, and as to why they want to replace it with the Sig556. And one of you actually had a really good thing. So, congratulations, Brandon Davis, whose actual story has made it into the video and is now the confirmed story for it. However, I did have to take liberties with it because, honestly, you probably didn't know much. And before I continue any further, if you want to catch up, pause the video here, and if you want to catch up on the lore, there will be a link to the playlist down in the description below, and then possibly an annotation popping up on the screen. And because my skills are getting better by the day. Now, what about this lore? Well, to catch you up. This was a conflict that had started in 2012 and is now 2016. This conflict's been going on for a long while, but all sides are feeling the actual slump of the war. Now, the war, you may ask, is being fought by, well, in the state side. I will get into the international politics next lore video. Stateside, and of course our main country, is split up by the three factions. To the north, which is north of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge, is the Council Coalition, the Gamers, led by President Todd Howard, who's trying to get his next election. Or win his next election. Oh dear. This is going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting election. And then, of course, to the south of the Golden Gate Bridge, we have the Otaku Nation, led by the Council of led by the Council Elders, and led by the head counselor, Hiro Miyazaki. Think about it. I will explain that in another video with politics after these in, but I actually did kind of take some liberties with the political systems before, but anyway. And the factions we're at war with, and the third faction, which is known as the Religious States, which is Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky. Yeah, it's those four states. I will explain more later. There'll be another video explaining why the war happened. But either way. Now, the war's been going on for a while now, and each side is feeling the war. Now, as to why the M16 is being replaced finally. Well, the M16 is basically being used on a lot of fronts. Not only is it used by the Coalition, it is also used by the Otakus. Now, as to why it's being replaced from the Otaku side of it, it's because the weapon cannot handle the conflict that it needs to be. Or, it's just kind of outdated in a sense. Now, you have to understand the Otaku Nation is influenced by not only Sun Tzu's core philosophy in war, but also influenced by modern combat as well as the past. They know of the past, and they know that if they cannot learn from said past, the future will doom to repeat itself. So that is literally what's going on. They know in order to win a war that is being fought on not only one front, but three other fronts, as well as in three different conditions, they need a weapon that is as versatile. Now, don't get me wrong. For all the M16 fanboys, I am going to acknowledge the M16 is a good rifle. The AR platform is a good platform, but not the best. Because the conditions the M16 is facing in this story is basically the humidity that is of the south, the mud, the gunk, and what have you of trench warfare on the Eastern Front, which is East Tennessee, Kentucky, and Mississippi, and I already made a video about talking about the Eastern Front. Just go to the lore playlist and you'll see about that. And then finally, the god-awful wet weather of South Mississippi and Alabama. Look at you guys have a horrible rain season. God! Seriously, Alabama, Mississippi, what is up with your weather? It's worse than here in Tennessee. Anyway, though. Now, why is the M16 being replaced? Well, the M16 is being replaced because it cannot handle the conditions. And one of my friends actually made a good point about this. My M16 in particular, going back to the real world and outside the story, my M16 by JG is, well, it's seen a lot. And the butt retention screw broke, and I've got nothing but duct tape, electrical tape holding the damn thing on. And that's kind of how it is for a lot of M16s that are used to a god-awful. I actually talked with real soldiers about this, about the M16 in the Middle East being used. And yes, this is basically a satire of the world that we're in. Soldiers who served with the M16 in the Middle East, in the jungles of Nam, what have you, they will first-hand account tell you that those things, while yes, are really damn accurate, not all that well built for certain durabilities. I've actually seen photos taken where soldiers have had, from freaking head to toe, their M16s covered in duct tape. And not just the L85, from the British side, which any Englishman who actually served with the L85, you know what I'm talking about. Those damn things are horrible. But a lot of people will account that, yes, the M16, if not used in a prolonged conflict, is a really good rifle and is really accurate. But the A3 model, but the M16 in general is just not that well built, to be honest. It's not built for jungle conflict or really, it's basically made for urban warfare. It's made to bridge the gaps between building to building conflict, and that's all. Nowhere has this shined more than the urban conflicts in Vietnam as well as the urban conflicts in the Middle East. Again, don't get me wrong, I love the AR platform and I do like the M16, but there are limitations. This is where the Sig556 comes into play. The Sig556 is honestly a bridge between the AK-47 and the M16. Now I know there are other guns like the AK-5C and a handful of FNs that have bridged this gap as well. And some AR platforms that have also bridged the gap because of the piston system. But, yeah. The Sig556 is everything you need. It can be a DMR, it can be a support weapon, it can be a handful of things just by simply swapping out magazines or scopes. And what I found about it, and what I like about it, is Brandon Davis actually made a really good story. Now, once again, he doesn't know a lot about the lore, so I will help you out there, dude. Now, following a series of political charged weapon bans in the US and international conflicts across Europe and Russia, which Russia's more, there's a video coming about that as well, arms supply chains have been strained to the brink. As many within the Otaku army have ties to law enforcement, the decision is made to adopt variants of the Sig-Sauer 556 Patrol carbine due to its robust design and proliferation in post-AR banned markets. Being a blend of Stoner and Kalashnikov systems, it is easy to train troops familiar with both weapons, as well as introduce the new recruits to a proven platform. Most popular variations of the rifle include DMR for snipers, pistol models with a Mescary 12 gauge for security forces, and vehicle crews. The 556R is used by special operations units in border regions. This is what I like. Brandon, you are very, very, very much on the nail as to why it is. But I'm going to kind of take some liberties there and actually kind of say why it's there. Now, everything he said about it is true. This thing is a blend of just perfect combinations of what it needs to be. And you're seeing it on screen now. This thing is a beautiful gun. I personally love this gun, and I fall in love with it. And it is definitely going to replace my M16 as my primary gun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I might use the Thompson still, but I'm sorry, if I'm gonna rock this sucker the next couple battles. Now, as to why it's replacing the M16, well, this is true. What he said is basically true, but as for the weapon bans, you have to understand this conflict has basically gone on a long-ass time. And in the coalition right now, politically speaking, there are two parties. Ones that are post-war or pro-war that want to stay in this conflict with the religious states and want to see it through the end. And then there's the pro-peace movement that wants to get out of the conflict and let us, the otakus, handle the rest. Yeah, thanks a lot, assholes. But yes, this is actually one of those This is one of those things. Now, because it's a pro-war, because it is a long conflict so far, the coalition was not exactly prepared for war. It was more or less prepared for police action and basically taking all the fame away from the otakus, which is never going to happen. And as such, only equipped its militaries for what was needed at the time, which was police action. Not a lot of ammunition, not a lot of weapons that was specifically made for prolonged firefights. This was changed. And as such, due to political actions as well as political changes, there's a lot of weapons being taken from citizens that are being issued to military forces on both eastern and western and northern fronts. Yeah, that's happening. Which means if an officer comes to your door in the coalition and you have firearms... Sorry for that, I had a phone call. Now, as I was saying, these officers, or even munitions officers, or what have yous, and you're welcome for speculation as well, because this is technically alternate history we're talking about. Or pretty much an alternate history of a fictional war that me and my friends actually made, which is actually getting turned into an anime. Fun fact. Kind of signed up a deal with a studio that's going to actually do this, so it's going to be awesome. But either way, really. Now, what's happening is... And I might as well go ahead and give expand more on why these officers are coming into people's homes and taking weapons that they deem worthy for frontline combat or military use. The biggest reason is because, once again, they were producing weapons at a slow rate because they thought they'd be doing a police action, not combat action, or not even going into a full war. So they sent in troops unprepared, ill-equipped, and we're kind of thinking Vietnam here, aren't we? Yeah. This is a Vietnam situation, basically. Minus people coming in their homes and taking weapons. Then again, I have heard stories from my grandfather talking about where military officers actually came in their home and took some guns from them to give them a fun. But either way, that's a video for another day. Right now, basically, they are fighting to basically get weapons in the hands of soldiers. And the M16s, while yes, easy to produce and easy to make, sorta, aren't being produced that much because they are a society basically more towards being popular, being out there, video games, what have you, and technologically they are now. While the Otaku Nation, their technology is 22nd century tech. I'm talking holophones, smart glasses on steroids, basically huge economic and technological boom. Now, the reason these people are coming... Now, as for the coalition, on the other hand, like I said, this is basically a Vietnam situation of politics, where you have one side that's pro-war, the other side that's pro-peace, and then the neutral side that just wants to get through their daily fucking lives and not get fucking killed, or not get arrested or something like that. It's basically one of those situations. So, literally, officers are going into people's homes who are gun owners, looking at their firearms and saying, okay, that M16 has to go to the front lines, that 1911's got to go to the front lines, this revolver's got to go to the front lines, this shotgun you can keep, this bolt-action rifle's got to go to the front lines, this single shot you can keep. That's basically what's going on right now. It is a literal... For the coalition, it is a war of attrition. And that's what's going on right now, is literally... They are putting a lot of their resources, and I'm talking a huge chunk, like 90% of their no, not even 90%, good lord, 80% of their resources towards the war, while 10% is being put towards to their citizens, such as food, resources, basic needs, what have you, and the other 10% is being put towards video games. Yeah, Todd Howard finally got off his ass about that. Instead of putting 10% towards the war, 10% towards citizens, and fucking 80% towards fucking video games is Fallout 4 fucking magnum opus. But either way. Now, as such, this is where things get a little bit more complicated, politically speaking, because while it is not necessarily seen as a band, the buying of military-grade weapons, or as they see as military-grade weapons to go to the front lines, has been put on by the political side of the coalition because they want those weapons to be in the hands of soldiers who are fighting on the front lines for their lives every day. And then you have the other side, on the Otaku side. Now, I'm not going to get into the politics of the Otaku Nation, because that sucker's because it's a mixture of not just a type of council-style politics, but also the freaking laws council. No joke, it is literally complicated as fuck, because me and my friend who's a freaking law degree master, and another guy who's a freaking political person, we basically made this up, and we were like, no one's gonna learn about it, and I have to relearn about it because we actually wrote it all down. Either way, though. Now, what's going on back here is they have a council that is dedicated to conflict, dedicated to war, dedicated to what is going to keep their soldiers, their forces alive, and what weapons will work best in the situations they're fighting. And through hours of, well, not even hours, through months of testing different weapons to replace the M16A3, they came across 3 weapons that can replace the M16A3. The Sig556, the G3 assault rifle, the battle rifle basically, and fucking finally, and this is an old weapon, mind you, how the hell was the other weapon? No, yes. And then finally the Scar H. Well, not really a Scar H, my bad. Fuck. I can't remember the name of the gun. Oh. The Star Dragon. I know it's an airsoft gun, but it's still considered a weapon. Now, as to why the Sig556 is being put into service very rapidly is because the M16 being used by the Otaku forces on the front lines is being pushed to hell back. I'm talking hella back. I mean, just, it is being pushed so hard that one of my friends actually gave me this report on one of our Facebook groups saying, while fighting a fierce firefight on the western front, on the northwest front, my rifle's bolt exploded from continuous use in the prolonged firefight, for which I had to use the rifle as a club to beat the enemy forces I was fighting. Yeah, that's how hard the Otaku forces are pushing the M16, guys, to the point where a bolt is exploding. And you may think that's not bad. Yeah, that's pretty bad, because an exploding bolt is something you cannot repair on the front lines. That's not a thing where you can go, No, that is a thing of, oh, well, use it as a club, and just start beating the shit out of people with. Now, as to the Sig556, this is being used to replace the M16 because of how many variations it can go through, how much specialization it can go through, how much versatility it is. And the reason it's so robust is because it is designed to be that weapon that is the be-all gun. It is designed to be a sniper. It is designed to be a light machine gun. It is designed to be a carbine. It is designed to be anything and everything you wish under the sun, unlike the M16. Now, I may not know. Now, I may be wrong on that. I haven't looked into M16s in a long time. The only actual knowledge of the M16 that I know of is from 2008, when my father actually showed me one and let me shoot one. Or not really shoot one, when he was telling me about it from 2008. And that's from that part of M16 history. So I do not know a lot more until recently when I started learning a little bit more. So that's kind of... But either way, so the question comes down to, why is the Sig556 being used to replace the M16 and not any other gun? Once again, versatility. And I've actually read reports, like real reports about the Sig556, and found out that sumbitch actually outbeats the M16 in real life. Yeah, that sucker actually beats the M16 on a hell of a lot of things. I'm talking accuracy, distance, versatility, mud test, sand test, whether the thing can handle all conditions. And I'm kind of happy for that. I wouldn't be surprised if the frickin' Army actually replaces the M16 with the Sig556. But I'm not holding my breath. But either way, Why am I getting issued? So, will the Sig556 completely replace the M16 in the storyline? Yes, it will. To a degree. I mean, just like in real life, there will still be some military units that are deep within the front lines that they cannot get that rifle to them. So they're still going to keep using the M16, and then there are some units that are so hell-bent on using the M16 because they've grown an emotional tie to it that they'll probably fill out the paperwork so they can have it when they retire from the service. And then finally, the final nail in the coffin for this story is this. The M16 is basically that prolific rifle that is known through human history and will not be removed. So, any M16s that the Otaku Nation has, they'll probably start selling to the Coalition because, let's face it, we love selling shit to the gamers. We Otakus love selling you assholes shit. It's like, oh, you need more M16s? Well, we got a big bunch back here, you know. We'll sell them to you for a price, of course. And I mean, you guys can basically read in the comment section saying, oh, that's not true, or a lot of you are probably going to say, yeah, that's actually true. Because we know that you gamers love freaking paying for the supply drops. I had to pull that out. No, I had to pull that out, but either way. So, if you guys want me to talk about a weapon and how it's influential, or how you think that something will happen, then check out the lore, and check out the lore playlist in the description down below. And if you guys want to know about a specific conflict within this or international, please let me know in the comment section down below. And if you had to choose a side, which would you fight for? Would you fight for Todd Howard's console coalition, or would you fight for Miyazaki's Otaku Nation? It's really up to you guys. Also, if you got a weapon that you think would actually be a good addition to the Otaku Armory or the Coalition Armory, let me know in the comment section down below, and I will try my best to get it, or at least do a video on it and what it is. And if you guys have any ideas on how I should do future lore videos, please let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I've been AirsoftAl, and I will see you guys in the front lines.